Me again. So a few minutes, hour later, whatever, I've cleaned the hood up where all that foamy flutter foam stuff is in here. And I've actually got back in here and chewed it back a little, cleaned up between here. So the stuff will maintain the same distance because I left some of the original in there. I just went back. It was out to about here. I just chewed it back so I don't go too far and suck the hood down or anything like that. And that's all I did for now was clean up all the way around where all those things were. And then I'll use some 2-part structural adhesive, regular epoxy, anything will work fine. And I'll hit those in, lay the hood down, and just let it set for 24 hours. Then I'll come back. I started sanding a little in here. And this one's really in good shape. I'll be able just to sand this by hand. Won't be any need to do any sandblasting or anything. But that's it. Structural adhesive, epoxy, anything you've got will usually work. And don't force it. It wants to sit where it wants to sit. Obviously, unless it was bent or something. But this one was just loose. I mean, you could just move it. And so you want all these little, see in there where it was before, you want all those little places sealed back. And that's that. Moving on to the next thing. Well, nobody said it was going to be pretty right away. So I'll come back in here. I'll clean up those edges, and then once it's all the same color, it'll be just like that. You'll never see anything. So I got about half of them done, and I didn't get the back side. Obviously the stuff wants to flow down. So I'm gonna let that sit for a while, do something else, and then I can come over and either turn the hood over and get back here. I need one or two. Well, I actually got that one. I just need a little bit here because I couldn't hardly get it up in there. But that's it. I mean, you can already tell it's stiffer. And then I got my fenders up on the little stand, and that makes it very nice, very easy. I can do these all at one time, just paint on over, and there's no edges resting on anything, and gives me a nice finish. So gonna take lunch and come back out and work some more. Hello again. So the epoxy hardened. I started doing some cleanup, then I just get carried away. Paint was so good, I could have just sanded it. But like anything, I just want to clean it up a little more. So I got in here and just where there's little rust places and things. And the epoxy stuff seems fine. Again, looks stupid because of the colors there, but I'll smooth that out with a little bit of something, and once it's the same color, it'll be fine. Then I started on the hood, and all I'm doing to this is DA sanding with 80 grit, take it down. But this is I think this is original paint, and after you get through the color, I wish we could still get this same kind of stuff because you can't get it off. It's almost like an epoxy. Probably is an epoxy, but it'll just gum it up, and you just gotta be steady on it and go through fresh paper and sand it off. But that's what I'll be doing probably for the next. This goes very slow. I almost could have used chemical on it, but then the chemical mess is shit to clean up. So I just prefer doing this. Anyway, I'm gonna go grab a lunch, come back up, and finish it up in a little bit. Hello. So hood went as great as I thought it was. It's pretty much good overall, but right here, I had a dent, very gradual, and it was an oil canning thing where it pushes, pops in and out. And it was so fine that I kind of wanted to try something new, which was, I've never done it before, but I've seen the results when I've done other work. So we're going to find out if it works right now. Hopefully I don't trash this hood. So what I did is I've got this oil canning right here. The rest of the hood is nice and straight. So what it was doing, it would pop in and stay. So if you even sanding it, it would pop down. So I know you can take shrinking metal, you can take a torch and do that. I didn't have a torch, I had propane. I didn't want to heat that whole panel because I've seen it warp, and if you watch any other videos, you can tell guys tell you not to do that. So to pinpoint that heat, I've got this dent puller, and what it does is, you're familiar, takes a little stud, puts it in the end, pull the trigger, and it heats this up right here. And I can actually see there was a little bit of a crown right there. And as soon as I put the heat on there, it shrunk, it made a little low spot, obviously, because that's where you're pushing down. And then I cooled it off. And we're gonna take a look here and see if it works. Well, apparently it works. So what I found on mine was, if you pull the trigger and just hold it, it just goes long enough to weld that to the metal, and then it kicks its own little breaker. So if you know that point, say it takes 2 seconds, I wanted more heat in it than that because the first one didn't do so well. And so the next time I just hit it for a second, let off, didn't throw the breaker, hit it for a second. I did that 2 or 3 times. Then it turned really cherry red around that tip for about the size of a dime or a nickel. And then I just grinded them off, but I'm pushing on it, and it's not oil canning anymore. It did leave a little dimple on the bottom side, so I just came in and sanded those off. So they're smooth again. Yeah, it seemed to work. So I would do that again. That was a lot. Probably wasn't as quick, but I didn't have a torch. Never had a need for one till now. But that worked really good. So finished sanding, and then I will put this in primer or epoxy, and then see if it needs, around that area, it might need a little bit of the polyester, maybe a swipe of Bondo, because it's just got little bitty waves in it. So we'll see how that works. Anyway, back to it. Told you Tammy was gone for the weekend. That's all I'm going to say about that. So I had one little bitty pinhole, and I just went ahead, it was right there, and I just glazed it with some Duraglass. I mean, it was the size of half a pencil lead, so I just filled it anyway. I'm probably going to put an insulation panel under this so it'll cover it up. I've never done that before, but I think it'll look good on this car. It may help at some point. This won't be driven a lot more, I would think. So I'll probably put that panel under there to keep the heat off the hood. But she came out nice and straight. Like I said, it was very straight to begin with, but even as straight as it is, like y'all found out, I'm going to go ahead and sand this. I'm going to put one coat of the polyester on it. And I may sand it all off, but it's just so hard to see little ripples and things. If I just go ahead and do that, then I'll know this is straight. And it may seem like a waste of time. If it was just a regular paint job, then that is fine, right? But it seems like you always see a little bit of something somewhere that blocking it will find it for you. And even if it's subtle, I don't want to be able to back off and look at this and see a wave in it. So I'm going to do that.